There's a lot of videos out there that try to show you how to make your videos more cinematic, or just how to achieve that cinematic look. For me, it's one of my favorite topics. Honestly, I've been trying to achieve that look ever since I started filmmaking. So this is really something kind of near and dear to my heart. But how to make cinematic videos really brings up a more basic question, which is, what do we mean exactly when we say cinematic? That's what I'm going to try to answer today. Roll intro. Right, so what do we mean exactly when we say something is cinematic? Well, let me start just by showing you just a short B-roll that I put together recently, and then we'll kind of delve into that question a little further, okay? Check it out. Okay, so maybe that's not going to make it to the big screen, but you know what? That's not really what I was going for. It was more just something to do for fun, and it really kind of lives up to the channel name that I've got, which is Cinematic Hobbyist. I'm a hobbyist at heart. I love doing this for fun. I'm not a professional by any means, but I am trying to make my content more and more higher quality, if you will, to try to get toward that professional level. And I figure if you're here now, there's a good chance that you're trying to do the same thing. I am planning on making other videos showing different techniques and what you can do to try to make your videos more cinematic. I'm gonna start really basic with this. I think it's actually really important that you make sure that you understand the basics of any profession you're in and get that down first before you go on to more advanced stuff. So let's get simple. Cinematic. What does this word mean? It really comes from the base word cine, spelled C-I-N-E, which means motion picture, or in other words, pictures in motion. So originally there was just a single still image photograph, and then if you take a series of those and put them in order and then show them very rapidly one after the other, you get the apparency of motion. So you get pictures in motion. That's where that comes from. And the word cinema refers to the place where motion pictures are shown. In other words, a movie theater. Now, it has since been expanded, and the definition of cinema also includes movies or the business of making movies. Finally, the word cinema is just the noun version, and then cinematic would be the adjective version. So in other words, this is something that describes something that is like a motion picture or related to that subject. Now, one thing I've discovered is that to call something cinematic is highly subjective. It really depends on your viewpoint, your opinion. When you see something, do you think that it feels cinematic? So let's just say that when we say cinematic, we're talking about something that you would probably expect to see in the movie theater or at the cinema, as opposed to something that feels more like a home video or a homemade movie that doesn't have that kind of look and feel and maybe quality. Unless you're purposely doing that for the artistic reason of the film that you're making, which sometimes happens. But let's just agree that typically when we say cinematic, we're talking about something that could be thought of as something you'd want to see on the big screen. Agreed? There are a lot of different styles and techniques that can be used to make your films cinematic. I mean, I'd almost go as far as to say that there's just virtually unlimited. I mean, you can get very creative when you're trying to make something cinematic or have an artistic impression on it. I'm sure you're going to come down to some bare basics of different techniques that you can then put together and kind of create your own style. You know, you've got things like shot framing and which lenses to use and how much background blur do you want to have in your shot, how close up you want to be, and even things like what kind of music or lack of music in a scene or sound effects to put into it. All of these things go into it and kind of add up to give the cinematic feel and look that you want to have artistically in the film that you're making. One of the number one questions that I recommend that you ask when you're looking at making film or you're looking at your film that you have made is, does the viewer have their attention on the thing that you want them to have their attention on? It is very, very important when you're making a film. You want to make sure that your viewer's attention is directed toward what you want it to be directed toward. Make sense? Okay, so as an example, have you ever watched a home video, maybe like something that your mom recorded on her iPhone on a vacation somewhere? You may find that the quality wasn't really what you would expect in a movie theater. Maybe it was really jerky, the lighting was bad, different things like that. Now, one of the reasons that it doesn't feel cinematic is that your attention might be on the wrong thing. Maybe if it's super shaky, your attention is actually on the camera and what the camera is doing. The fact that it's shaky and it's not a smooth shot. If your attention is going there, but that's not really where the focal point of that particular scene should be, then you would think of it as not a very cinematic shot, right? Okay, so now take a movie like The Blair Witch Project or Chronicle. I'm sure there's tons of other movies out there like these, but these are movies that were based on the fact that the characters in the film were filming something and they wanted to be shown filming it. So a lot of the shots, or most of them actually in these movies, look like they're home videos. You know, they're shaky footage that's like on an old camcorder style. But that was the specific art and intention behind making those films. So although your attention may have been on the fact that they were filming them on a handheld, homemade, or a home use video camera, that was done intentionally. So in that aspect, or that respect, those films were intentionally putting your attention on that, which made it okay. It still made it cinematic. But again, it came back to that question of, is the viewer's attention on the thing you want their attention to be on? So that's what I wanted to share with you in this video. I wanted to keep this one a little bit shorter, simple, but I do actually want to leave you with a homework assignment. I want you to start watching videos and movies and really pay attention to kind of the answer to that question that I asked, which is, what does the videographer want you to have your attention on? Just watch different scenes, see how they're put together, and keep asking yourself that question again and again. And look at different aspects of it. Look at how the angles are put together, how the coloring even is there, what kinds of shots, how many shots they use for a single scene, different angles of the subject, that sort of thing. But continuously ask yourself, what is your attention supposed to be on? You can even look at the mood of the music used, or sometimes when there's no music in certain scenes and the kind of drama that adds to it, or gives it a different feeling altogether when maybe there was normally music in the scenes. Suddenly you get to a scene with no music. What's different about it? What does your attention go to with the lack of music? Just challenge yourself a bit and start watching different films from that viewpoint. It's a very interesting exercise. I find that I'm all the time now, even when I'm watching just a movie to enjoy it, I'm looking at the camera angles and the shots and the different ways that they put different sequences together. And when one person is talking but they're showing another actor, that sort of thing, just to see what does my attention go to, and did the film achieve what they were trying to achieve with regards to where my attention goes. And then just get out there and challenge yourself a bit. Practice with it. Start shooting videos. Don't worry about all the advanced things about how to get your camera settings dialed in just right. Just start working on your composition and your scenes and trying to show something with your video that you want to show, or how to direct the viewer's attention to what you want them to see. And by all means, look up lots of videos on YouTube or all over the internet to figure out different techniques that people have on how to do these things. But most importantly is just practice. Practice, practice, practice. One video that I've seen out there which is really interesting is this One Light Challenge. It's a little bit old at this point, maybe about a year ago, but if you do some searching, you'll find some on there. It was just a challenge for other content creators to make a video using only one light source. Very, very interesting concept, but there were some really good contributions that got put on YouTube about that just showed a single light source, and some very creative people made videos about them. But it's interesting to see what your attention goes to in those videos, because for me, the really good ones, my attention was not on the light source, but on the subject that the light source was lighting up. Pretty interesting. So if you like this video, I'd appreciate it if you subscribe. That does help my channel grow, and that allows me to more easily make more content in the future, which I'm totally planning on. So I'll see you guys soon. All right.